Hi everyone, so I'm here to talk about the new shades from the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define range on the pale end of the spectrum. Previously the lightest shade was F0.5, which was super pink, like just pink. And they have added some more warm toned options that are lighter than F1. So I purchased F0.2, 0.3, and 0.7. I was not sure if 0.7 made sense, but since 0.5 I have worn before, the undertone was wacky, but the depth wasn't too off. I was concerned maybe the lighter shades were going to be too light. So good shade matches for me for reference are the Clinique Even Better in CN 0.5 Shell and Smashbox Studio Skin in 0.1, and I included those shades in the swatches. So I'm going to swatch all of the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define shades I have along with some other foundations in my collection so we can see what these look like and what they are close to within what I already have, and just talk a little bit about my skin type and application and just showing you what I did, etc. Swatches. Let's take a look at those and then we can talk some more. Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in F0.5, Conceal and Define F0.7, new shade. Revlon Candid in 110. Natasha Denona Face Glow in 10 Neutral Porcelain. Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in F0.3. NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia. Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in F0.2. Fenty Pro Filter Soft Matte in 105, which is one of the new shades. Clinique Even Better in Shell, a good shade match for me. And Smashbox Studio Skin in 0.1, also a good shade match for me. So I do think they will get a little bit darker, and I'm just going to keep these swatches on while I do the rest of my makeup, and we will take a look to see what they look like when they're dry. Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define in F0.5, F0.7, Revlon PhotoReady Candid in 110, Natasha Denona Face Glow in 10 Neutral Porcelain, Conceal and Define in F03, NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia. I'd say these are pretty similar colors. This one's a tiny bit deeper. Conceal and Define in F0.2, which is what I'm wearing on my face. Fenty Pro Filter in 105, which is just like a smidge, really smidge darker than this one. A little bit more yellow, I would say. Clinique Even Better in Shell, and Smashbox Studio Skin in 0.1. So what I'm wearing today is the F0.2, so that's the lightest kind of yellow toned shade, and from what I can see it's a really nice shade match to my neck. I also included a clip that I'll put right here. Oh, that light went out, didn't it? That the battery is like barely charged. Showing you before I did this makeup, I swatched both of them on my face, 0.2 and 0.3, to see like what looks the best. If the lightest one looked like it was going to go kind of pink over my redness because it looks so white, and I felt like the 0.2 had enough warmth to it, the coverage was right, that it just kind of muted the redness, and you might see a little pink coming through, but it still looked like the rest of my face skin. So that's why I picked 0.2. So we can also look at that clip real quick. All right, so before I did my regular morning skincare routine, I went ahead and put the two shades that I thought were going to be the best match for me on my face so I could try to decide which one I was going to wear today. So I swatched the two shades here, like on my chin, and then brought them down onto my neck. So this is F0.3 and F0.2. I think 0.2 is a little bit better of a match. Right now, after it's like fully oxidized, I feel like you can see it's a little bit, you can see a little yellow tinge, but it's not much. And then there's just a little bit more of a yellowish, orangish, peachish tinge to F0.3. So then on my face, I actually just kind of haphazardly slapped it on, each shade on part of my face, just so I could see if the lighter shade was going to be really like light pink looking through when it was over the more pink areas. So you can see I have a little pink that I did not cover kind of in between the swatches, and this is all on my cheeks here and here. I feel like both colors would be totally fine, would not be noticeably off either way. I just think the F0.2 is probably the best fit for me if I'm trying to get close to my neck. And it seems like it goes over that redness without turning that weird light pink. I feel like this probably cancels out the redness a tiny bit more because it does have a little bit more of that kind of yellowy, warm undertone to it, the F0.3. I did see, I also kind of left a little stripe in my chin where you can see it's kind of pink, and I feel like both sides look fine. And when I look at like my chin down to my neck, I feel like both colors look fine from that kind of straight on angle. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my face, get all my regular sunscreen and all that on, and then I will be back to put one of these on my face. All right, so my skin type right now is dry, very dry. Areas that used to be oily in my T-zone are now like normal to just slightly oily. And generally what I'm struggling with, I'm 38 years old, I have issues with things creasing in my smile lines. With the dryness, especially matte foundations will look really patchy and cakey, like on certain parts of my cheek. I have this dermatitis on my chin, and sometimes that will be like actively flaking off. Also around my nose I have that same issue, and things also tend to settle into my pores, especially on the right side of my face. It's just like the trouble side. And yeah, I'm just looking for something that's going to hold up to a good 10 plus hours of wear without looking cakey and patchy. Things just around my mouth area, things tend to look very cakey and separated and heavy throughout the day. So that's the kind of formula I'm looking for. Color-wise, I think this F0.2 is spot on. I'm really excited about it. And I've only worn this formula a couple times because I had that shade that was such a weird undertone match for me. All right, so I've had this on for about 5 hours now. It's 8 o'clock and I probably put this on around 3 to 3:30. I feel like I didn't set it. And on my kind of like normal to slightly oily areas, like on my forehead, it just looks kind of dewy, like it's kind of bordering on looking shiny. I feel like my nose looks a little shiny. I did definitely get some transfer off on my chin. I have a 11 months old, almost 11-month-old baby, and he has a tendency, like especially when he's drinking a bottle, he'll just like fling an arm up and like smack me in the face. So if there's something that's going to transfer at all, it tends to come off my chin. I'm just gonna blot real quick, see what it looks like. I don't feel like the color has changed. I feel like it looks the same. Getting like maybe a little foundation transfer. What I would try next, I don't think the skincare really agrees with it because it's looking pretty bad around my dry areas, and just doing weird things around this area. Next I would try, where is it? This Cover FX Gripping Primer. I might also consider using my NARS powder to set my chin, and definitely my chin just to try to help with the transfer issue, and maybe my nose and my forehead as well to see if that keeps it from getting so shiny, because I mean it's only 5 hours and I'm not very oily right now, so I do feel like that's kind of like that seems a little much. So probably powder would help that a little bit. And also I've had some really good success with certain formulas in this Cover FX gripping primer for formulas that I historically have a really hard time wearing, like the L'Oreal True Match. It's actually made those stick to my face, which has been pretty amazing. And some formulas, it seems to really make it worse if it's a foundation that's prone to like catching on the flaky parts of my skin. So I feel like this could go either way. Either it will help or it will make the flaky areas even worse. I mean, I think you can see that like it's not sitting the best on my dryness. Minimal creasing. But I mean, considering how like awful, say, the Hourglass Vanish liquid looks, this is like about 100 times better. I also had some lipstick issues. And I also got a little lipstick on my chin here. So it's like transfer plus a little bit of a stain from this lipstick. Right here. That's not unusual, I would say. Same with here. Lately it's just things get really dry and flaky. And this, see, I don't know if you can see this, it's pretty minor, but it's like all these almost like little cracks. It's almost like I could smooth this out. So I wonder if that's something that would be helped by setting it. I feel like this color is really good though. I mean, I don't know, in person it looks like a really good match. I feel like it is potentially a better match than the Clinique, which is kind of, so far, probably one of my best matches that I've come across. I feel like this really looks, I don't see that noticeable difference, like if you look straight on, I don't see a difference between my face and my neck at that kind of viewpoint, which I feel like is where I can really notice when there's an undertone or a depth issue. A lot of foundations, my chin will look pink, and that's kind of my sign that it's not the best match. But I feel like, you know, when there was actually coverage on my chin, I'm kind of curious what will happen if I just try to put a little more on. Some foundations handle that okay, others not so much. So we'll see. This does have that kind of, I associate it with Revlon Color Stay, just kind of like a paint-ish smell. I don't mind it because I feel like quite a few foundations smell that way, and I would much prefer that to a fragrance. Let's see how this does. Some foundations, if you do this, they'll get super cakey. Not bad. Let's see if I can fix this lipstick problem. There are a couple concealers I have that I know do pretty well touching up around my mouth. The Fenty Pro Filter in 105 works well. And that is the concealer I would probably go to wear with this foundation. The NYX concealer under my eyes doesn't look terrible, but it does look a little drier than my Power Play in N-Fair1 from Cover FX, or the Fenty Pro Filter in 105 concealer. It's kind of hit or miss. Some days it looks good, just like my Cover FX Power Play, and other days it can look a little dry. But I've got like a minute left, so I gotta wrap this up. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will try to get back to you below if you want me to do like a full review. This is kind of like a half and half review. If you want to see more videos from me, then please do subscribe. I make a lot of foundation content, stuff about pale skin, how things are going to look on very fair skin, very pale skin, and hit the bell if you want a notification whenever I post a new video. I hope you are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.